Hey YouTube, welcome back. Mind my camera not being turned on. I'm still under the weather a little bit, but I've been playing a lot of Bazaar recently, ever since the January 8th patch. Quite frankly, ever since I got a key gifted to me. But yeah, ever since the January 8th patch as well. The patch is wonderful. We did a patch review along with Concerned Mom, who's like a rank 35, 37 player or something. Smart guy, he knows what he's talking about. But we have been doing really well, and I've seen a lot of people jump into Twitch chat telling me, hey, is Dooley bad? Is Dooley bad? Is Dooley bad? I played like 3 games of Vanessa, and people were like, oh, Dooley got nerfed into oblivion, and now you're finally playing something different. And it's like, actually, believe it or not, I don't like it. I don't like the Vanessa. You know what I want to do instead? I want to be a little beep boop, and I like being a robot. So I think Dooley is in a perfectly fine spot. We are currently rank 102, and we've been getting like 10-1, 10-0, a couple 10-2 games all day today. There's a number of different things that I'm happy to be doing on the January 8th patch, and they're great. So I'm going to talk about them real quick because I've got some stuff that I do that some people seem to be curious about. So maybe you on YouTube are as well. Without further ado, let's wow, that is not the color I wanted. Get out of here, dude. So the cores that I'm looking for, the cores that exist, we have crit core, the core. What a great username, or what a great name. Crit core, the core. We have weapon core, and then on top of that, we also have the armored core. What else is there? There's the friend core, companion core, and last but not least, there is ignition core. So I know there's some other people who have been like rating ignition core highly, and this is not the order, so bear with me just for a moment here. I know there's some other people who like rate ignition core quite highly. I don't like it. It was the first thing that I played a couple times when the patch was brand new, and I found it pretty lackluster. The change to Omega Ray meant that you can't use soldering gun quite the same ray. You can try to do like core Omega Ray soldering Chris. Is Chris CHRIS, like this kind of thing, like this, like you do this on ignition core, or you can move this all to the left side as well. You can try to get soldering gun in there, but like soldering gun doesn't really work out. I've lost to a couple ignition core builds, and I know there are other people that like it, but for me, I actually don't like it at all. So I'm just like not gonna pick it. I don't think it's what I want to do. So I would actually put ignition core right here on the bottom. I literally just don't want it. I think all of the weapon core builds are pretty reasonable. One of the big reasons for that is the Alpha Ray. So Alpha Ray is unnerved and it's still bronze tier, and it affects all weapons across your board, not just the adjacent ones. So it's unlike the ignition and unlike the poison. So Alpha Ray plus stuff ends up being like pulse rifle. End up using like the new arc blaster as well. That's pretty cool. All of these with the, added bonus of crit core being the best, can end up doing like motherboard builds. Or you can even do a charging station build like we just did here on stream on twitch.tv/PerryThePig, baby. Streaming live on YouTube as well, by the way. So I like all of this. There's like other things you can do as well, like weapon core kind of lends itself to flamethrower, if you're one of those flamethrower enjoyers out there, but that's not something that I tend to do, even though it is still in my mind. So I actually like all of the weapon cores. I think they're quite reasonable. Just going aggro, basically. The V core can end up being a... you know what? We'll talk about this later. We'll talk about like the kinds of builds you can go for. But yeah, but anyways, I like all 3 of the weapon cores. I think they're fine. So I would actually put armored core down here. I'm a big armored core hater. I don't like it. If you like it, great. But I'm just not going to pick it because I think there's always better things to be doing. So we'll talk about other things, other possibilities later. I'm going to put weapon core right here. I think it's the worst of the three cores. Depending on whether you like the core or crit core, I think you'd swap either of those two. But for me, I think I would do crit core here. I know it gives crits. I know it's sweet, but yeah, I don't know. I'll put crit core there. I like the core. So I'll put the core like slightly on top of it. And then I would put friend core right there on top. So this is like my current ranking for what the cores are doing. And like, why should you listen to me? I don't know, you don't. But you should make your own opinions. So this is what I do. And I'm like, rank 100, get a pretty good win streak, try to play pretty well, try to make, you know, more good decisions than funny meme decisions. So this is my ranking here. What's my rationale for this? The first thing you ought to know is that when I'm playing, I don't throw day one. And like Dooley's got like a pretty mediocre day one. And I know a lot of people like here in Twitch chat are just like, yeah, I'm glad that I don't try to get 10 perfect wins because I don't want to try hard on day one. But honestly, for me, day one is really interesting. I think it's a lot of fun to play day one. So day one, new as of the January 8th patch, you can get level 2 every single time. How do you spell level? L-E-V-E-L. You can get level 2 every single time. So what this means is that if you see experience, you have to click on it because you will get 2 experience encounters every single time. Oftentimes, like the best start that I would see on day one would be like for the clock mechanic, right? The very first day or the very first hour would be experience. That's what I want to see there. And then like the second would be like the banana. I love fighting the banana. I think it's great. And then either one of these two is going to be experience. Either this one's going to be experience or this one's going to be experience because it's guaranteed to get 2 experience on day one, which means you get to level up to day 2 if you click on both of them. So what that means is like if you click experience once and you click experience twice, the last shop that you see, you gotta go to it and you gotta buy stuff. So you're gonna have like 12 or 13 gold, something around those lines. And you will, once you level up, your board will be, you know, 6 spots and you'll have the core in there as well. So you need 4 spots worth of stuff to toss in. So you can buy double medium, you can go like pulse rifle plus, you know, chem snail, for example. But pulse rifle plus something tends to be a pretty good place to be as long as you can get a friend somewhere in there as well. So that's what I'm looking for on day one. I like getting level 2. I think it's really good. I see some people do it, but I run into a lot of people that don't do it. And doing this seems to be like a pretty advantageous position. So that is the strat for day one, as far as I'm concerned. Because I like winning on day one. Great question that you're trying to ask right now. Why do I care so much about winning on day one? Because of this motherfucker. So when you get past day 10, if you care about getting like 10 wins, which I do because 10 wins is fun. The reason I care about day 1 wins is that if you don't care about day 1, then you're saying that you're automatically starting as a day 11 build instead of being a day 10 build. You're just throwing day 1, and you don't need to throw day 1. So if you're complaining about people going infinite, play day 1 more aggressively and try to make more short-term concessions and like just end the game sooner. Dooley is good, but Dooley doesn't have the same infinite nonsense as pig builds and as some of the Vanessa builds. I think the Vanessa builds are less scary. You can definitely keep up with them. But like the pig builds, especially once they get their diamond fort, because in my opinion, pig builds are like, if you see a fort, you buy a fort. And then like, if you see an upgrade, you upgrade. And like every pig build should have a fort in it. And it's fucking crazy. So I want to avoid the pigs who have diamond fort as much as possible, which means I don't want to start out as a day 11 build. I want to try to be a day 10 build as much as possible. So that's why I'm prioritizing day 10 as much as I possibly can. So I'm playing like really early strats, whatnot. So that's why day 1. That's our ranking over here. We can can we scroll down? How does Microsoft Paint work? I guess I do this, and then I go, and then we zoom back in, and then we scroll down, gamers. Okay, so the next thing to talk about, we said, here's what I think is good. Here's the rationale for day 1 and why I'm trying to avoid those infinite builds. What builds can you play? I think there's a couple pillars of what you ought to be doing in what do you call it, land? In Dooley land. Excuse me for a moment. I'm like overheating right now. I gotta take my sweatshirt off. Whew. It is too warm down here, gamers. Whoa. I'm talking too much all of a sudden. So what are the pillars of what you can do as Dooley? I think there's 4-ish of them. one of those double combat core, or sorry, like double core combat core. All the synergies of like, you know, upgrading both of them at the same time, having them charge each other, getting twice as much benefit out of like charging station, for example. Like combat core is a totally appropriate thing to do. I think it's quite good. So it was good in the past, it's good now. It's kind of like a, you know, stock standard, old faithful. And it's one of the reasons that I like the core as well, because the core charging up the combat core is great. I like it. The other things that you ought to be doing as Dooley, in my opinion, let's see, number 2 would be like Mamasaur. And Mamasaur, or just like Dinos, put Dinos next to this, is kind of a meta consideration because there's a lot of people who are trying to go infinite, and there's a lot of people who are building up a big sandcastle. So when everyone's trying to build, like, you know, who's got the biggest sandcastle, who can go infinite, who can, you know, win the race to, I don't know, 1 billion HP or something, they all rely on items, don't they? So if you can just take your foot and you step on their items, and then if they don't have items anymore, you win. So you're just stepping on people. That ends up being a really good idea for dealing with other people's infinite combos. So even the small one, excuse me, even like small one, what's her name, Dianosaur ends up being reasonable too, because you have things like what's it called, like Matchbox, is that what it's called? Like the Dooley item, or not the Dooley item, but the pig item. Like Matchbox is like a small, Pearl is a small, I don't think bees, like yo-yos are going infinite, right? There's a couple of small items that you care about. I think there's other things too. But yeah, like even like a Diana in your build would be quite good. But I think Mama gets the shout out for just being like, you know, enormous. So if you're a friend core build, you can go Mamasaur. But you can even go Mamasaur in like a combat core style build, where your board is like core, like the core, right? And then you have like Mom, and then like a battery next to it. And to me, this kind of reminds me of how you would build a force field build, like, you know, like armored core, force field plus battery. But having this set up with Mom instead, you know, you can like, you know, eat all their items. How can they win, Chad? I ask you, how can they win? So destroying stuff with Mom is great. Number 3, I think Alpha Ray gets a real shout out here. So Alpha Ray would be like any of the red cores up there, which used to be garbage, but now they're pretty good. Like we talked about before with Alpha Ray, excuse me. Alpha Ray affects your entire board. It's unnerfed in that way, and also is still bronze tier. So Alpha Ray is like pretty good. Pulse Rifle, last patch was just too slow, but Pulse Rifle this patch I think is quite good. And I really enjoy putting Pulse Rifle next to Tesla Coil, because Tesla Coil is one of the very few items that actually got buffed for Dooley. And like, it's got really high flat damage. You can use it day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It upgrades quite well. It charges quite well. I think Tesla Coil is a totally appropriate thing to spend an upgrade on too. So this kind of thing with like core next to it right there. Boop, boop. I think that's a nice place to be. Yeah, so Alpha Ray. This is the one where like you really want to get like day 10 or day 11. Like these other two can go kind of go a little bit farther. Like if you drop, you know, by accident. But Alpha Ray, if you're relying on that, you really need some spice in your build, or you just really need to end the game very quickly. So that's Alpha Ray there. And the last one, I think, putting at the very end here, because hopefully Reynad is tuned out at this point and is no longer watching, Ballista should not be nerfed, because I love it. Holy fuck, Ballista does a lot of damage. So if you play this game, you already know that Ballista is like insane. This is why friend core is at the top right here. That's why it belongs. It's completely insane. So I played a lot of companion core. The way that you would work this out, like you do your day 1 strat, you just try to win day 1 no matter what. On day 2 or 3, you're looking for something that deals damage. You're looking for like a Brick Buddy. Brick Buddy keeps you alive against all kinds of stuff. You're looking for, like on day 1, you could look for Chem Snail. But pretty quickly, you want to transition off of Chem Snail onto like Lizard. And like Lizard is nerfed. It's nowhere near as good as it used to be. But it's still pretty appropriate for early game. You don't really want it late game. But honestly, if you get stuck with a Lizard late game, Just go put the burn enchant on it, and it's fine. It'll kill some people, and you might get your 10 wins out of it. So it's like your early game, like your Brick Buddy, your Chem Snail, and then ultimately what you're looking for is some combination of a 3-second friend, something like Aiden or Miss Isles. Hopefully not, what is it, like Angry Balloon Bot, which is technically one of the 3-second friends, but you really don't want that one. So you want some combination of like Aiden, Miss Isles, and then you're also like, maybe you're looking for like Race Carl. Race Carl is like not mandatory, but he's a great stepping stone to like get your, he acts as a battery for the companion core itself. And then you just keep looking for all of your like medium shops and weapon shops and friend shops. And the fact that you can re-roll your friend shops is just wonderful here. So you're looking for these so that you can find your ballista. And like ballista, just like put all of your upgrades on ballista. She's completely insane. Way too much damage. Not too much damage. Shut up. It's not too much damage. It's fine. It's completely fine. Don't nerf it. The other reason that I think friend core gets a nod here is Big Daddy. You know, what's his name? Sure, Bill. Yeah, so Bill didn't really see play during or over the holiday patch because he was a large. He didn't really contribute to what the old Monitor Lizard was doing. Yeah, William Dozer. He's a great friend of mine. So William Dozer here, he is not there for damage. I don't think Bill belongs on this list of like the pillars of what Dooley ought to be doing right now. I don't think he's good enough. But he's amazing in friend core because he is the opposite of what Knee Brace was. Knee Brace. And Knee Brace just got nerfed. All the cooldown interactions of Knee Brace just got removed from the game. But Bill kind of sort of does the same thing. Here, this is a thought bubble for you. I can draw cartoons. Look at this. So what you do is anytime that you're going to use a feather or an insect wing, you take Bill off of your board, then you use the item, and then you put Bill back on your board. Because when you're using an insect wing or a feather, you want your cooldowns to be as high as possible. So you take Bill off, you use the feather, you put him back on. The builds, when I queue into someone's ghost, who is using a ballista build, and I have a Bill and they don't, at this point, I can just look at the board and say, I'm going to win. And like, it'll go back and forth a little bit, but like, I know I'm going to win because like my items are just faster. My cooldowns are faster. I'm getting haste procs faster. Like even, you know, you have lifesteal, I have lifesteal. We're both, you know, trying to abuse this ballista thing. But if I have a Bill and you don't, like it's going to get there. So the variations on the ballista builds, you could go, it's basically like, do you have metronome or not? And that's up to you, I guess. Some of them look really cool. I think metronome is pretty good tech. So you could have like Miss Isles, metronome, ballista, and like it's like, you know, double procs, then, you know, haste it twice, so it charges it up twice, gives it 2 extra procs. Like that's pretty sick. There's a lot of skills that synergize with it as well. Something like mixed messages. Mixed messages. It's a skill where when you use a non-weapon, you haste a weapon. That's insane with ballista. So there's a lot of stuff to look out for it. But honestly, just all by itself, ballista is amazing. I would put it as number 1, but I wanted to put it at number 4 in case somebody suspicious was watching the video. So that's my ideas on what's going on right now. I think that about covers my current thoughts on it. Let's see. Final thoughts at the very end right here. Radiant is less important than I thought it was going to be. I don't feel as though Radiant's particularly important. I'll still use it. It's still good, obviously. But like people have fewer freeze skills and they have fewer like freeze items and whatnot. And I like games are going longer because everyone's going infinite. So I'd rather have something like lifesteal or shield so that even if they get a good jump on me, I can still just recover. And I've done that multiple times over the last 2 days. And I think it's a fine place to be. So Radiant is like worse than it used to be, I would say. not as essential. I would say the enchantment change is incredible. I love making use of it. So the enchantment benefits all of your weapons. Basically, if you put shield or heal on your weapons, instead of healing and shielding a flat amount, they now scale with the amount of damage they deal. Everything except for the cores themselves. So be mindful of that. But otherwise, the enchantments are awesome, and I love making use of them. What else is worth talking about? There's a new item called, what's it called? Like Arc Blaster? Arc something? It's like a small weapon. Getting this thing leveled up like gold tier or something. I really enjoy this because I've been doing a lot of these like red core things as well. I think Arc Blaster is like totally appropriate. I think it's a neat little addition to the game. It deals a lot of damage too. Like Arc Blaster, you know, honorable mention to like Tesla Coil. Just like Tesla Coil has been so bad for so long, and now it's like not garbage. I love it. Love when things aren't garbage. Any other final thoughts for this? Yes, another final thought. People have been asking about how to prioritize experience, and I would say that prioritize experience a lot. Like your economy, things are expensive. Rerolling is expensive. Fishing for items expensive. So oftentimes you can just not fish for items and instead take experience. I have a like not a rule of thumb, but kind of a benchmark of getting level 10 on day 7. So level 10 on day 7 means that you get a enchant here. So getting an enchant on day 7 is quite early, especially if you're playing against someone who's like not quite there yet. So remember, like if you're not getting there, people who watch this video or people who game a lot are going to figure this out as well. So if you're not hitting your level 10 on day 7, you might just lose because the other person's going to have an enchant and you just might not. So just keep that in mind, right? I think that about does it. I've been yapping for about 22 minutes, and I like having a nice short video when I can, because a lot of these videos go long. If you have other things you want to know, you can always leave comments on this YouTube video here, but dropping by twitch.tv/PickUpThePig, or even streaming on YouTube as well. Yeah, get a little follow, get a little notification, ring the bell, whatever, how that works on YouTube. Anyways, my voice is gone, and I'm about to start coughing, so I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.